Welcome back, everybody, for the last session of the day. My name is Amit Vadi. I'm the head of community for Google DeepMind Developer Experience, and I'm so happy to be here today. You've had a jam-packed session so far today, so I appreciate everybody coming here. So many amazing sessions from monetization to growth, strategy. We're going to bring it all together. This should be a fun session to unleash creativity and business growth in games with Google AI. Joining me on stage are my colleagues Tom and Guillaume from the DevRel team, and we're going to spend the next hour showing you how AI is currently transforming game design and development. So who's excited? Yeah? All right. Let's get into it. So the agenda for this session, as I mentioned, we're going to spend about an hour. I'm going to take you through the first two topics around Google's approach to AI, the Gemini ecosystem, and our amazing Gen media models. Tom's going to take you through AI-powered gameplay experiences. He has an amazing experience personally in this. I think you'll find this session fascinating. And finally, the wonderful world of vibe coding. You've probably heard a lot about it. I hope so. If not, by the end of this day, hopefully you'll be vibe coding with us. We just had a really amazing update yesterday on AI Studio, so Guillaume's going to be doing some live demos and show you how to vibe code in your own personal life and professional lives. But it's been a long day today. I think it's always good to take a step back of why we're here. Google's mission, since it was founded in 1998, is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And it feels more relevant now than ever. AI can help us deliver on that mission in ways that once seemed impossible and can benefit us all. And since Sundar bravely declared us an AI-first company back in 2016, we've been pioneering the way forward. But actually, Google's history with AI and machine learning dates back to many years before that. As you can, if you maybe can squeeze your eyes to look in here, but there's some amazing technologies that we've been building since the early days. In 2001, we actually launched machine learning for spell check. In 2006, we launched Google Translate. So we've been in this field for some time, and those compounding effects over the years have led to a really amazing part where we're at right now. But I think one thing to always keep in mind, especially as companies, put their resources into certain areas, is organizationally how we're able to move so fast now. And you might have heard, or you might have seen over the last few months that we've been operating at a really relentless shipping pace. On average, we have about a new launch every week. Actually, on AI Studio, just last week, we had 6 launches in 7 days. So we're moving at an incredible speed, yes. Cheers to the AI Studio team. So what's really incredible about this is in 2003, Google Brain and DeepMind came together to form what's now called Google DeepMind. And it brought the theoretical research into our actual products, so we've evolved into our models, and that filters its way all the way up into our consumer applications like the Gemini app. And as I said, we've been doing this for some time. If you look back to some of our amazing innovations on the DeepMind side, from AlphaZero, AlphaGo, AlphaFold, which is our breakthrough in protein structures, which actually ended up leading to our CEO, Demis, winning a Nobel Peace Prize, to the Google Brain days of actually launching the PaLM models that have allowed us to accelerate at tremendous speed into the Gemini area. Now we're firmly in the Gemini 2.5 area. But keep in mind, just 2 years ago, we just started this journey. So we've seen an incredible progress in a couple of years' time. And we're super excited about what's to come in the coming months as well. There's a really exciting Q4 ahead of us. But I'm going to take you through what's going on today. And as I mentioned, bringing these teams together allows us to operate across the entire AI stack. And this is the Google AI stack, the only way that we can do it. The AI infrastructure, from our TPUs to world-class research with DeepMind and Brain being brought together, to the models and tooling, to the products and platforms. We're able to innovate at every layer of the stack. And that's really an advantage that only Google has in this space. But our goal at the end of the day is to make this technology helpful for everybody. AI isn't useful if it's just sitting in a research lab. We want the technology to proliferate across our entire ecosystem. We want to see amazing use cases emerge across businesses, enterprises, and so many different use cases. And we're so excited with the progress we've made over the past few years, and we're really excited about what's to come as well. Already in some of our most popular consumer applications like Gmail, we've seen amazing adoption. About 2 billion assists are utilized right now with Workspace business users. You can see an example there for Smart Reply. And on Google Maps, we have about 250 million businesses and places, and that's rapidly growing, that are already integrated with Gemini. You can see the curated with Gemini experience here in Google Maps. And we also have about 500 million community contributors. So in Google Maps, this is really leading to a lot of new experiences, and it can even be something like finding a more fuel-efficient route. So it's really exciting to see a lot of these use cases that are emerging. But it's proliferating across our entire ecosystem. I'd love to think about Gemini as a thread across our ecosystem. And today, it's already across 15 of our 500 million user products. And in fact, 7 of those products with 2 billion users are already using the Gemini models. So it's really exciting to see it's going across our ecosystem and even for the Play Store. So let's spend a little time on Gemini. Who's used Gemini? All right, love to see that. Hopefully, for the few folks that didn't have your hands up by the end of this session, you will be using Gemini. So Gemini represents our entire ecosystem, our most capable AI models. It supports the entire ecosystem, from the products that billions of people are already using today to the APIs and platforms that help developers and businesses innovate on top of our API. One thing I love to always mention is Gemini was built to be multimodal from the ground up. And that accounts for text, image, audio, video, and code. And not only can it input in these modalities, it can also output in those modalities. So again, it gives us a really great competitive advantage in that sense that we're able to work across all these different modalities. As I'm going to showcase, and Guillaume will show you towards the end as well, it also allows for some amazing use cases and experiences. The Gemini ecosystem has been really evolving over the past year. This is just a snapshot of our large language learning models. But if you want to deep dive into any of these, please go to deepmind.google, and you can spend a little bit more time on this. But 2.5 Pro is our most powerful and efficient model. We launched it at Google I/O this year, and it's been atop of the LM-SIS and LM Arena leaderboards since then. So we've been really excited about the progress we've been able to make in that space. 2.5 Flash is our workhorse model. It's great for performance and price. And Flashlight is even better for high-volume, cost-efficient tasks. But it's so exciting to see as the models continue to get better, they're also becoming more and more cost-effective. And it allows us to innovate on device with Gemini Nano and utilize technologies like embeddings to proliferate even more across our ecosystem. So I have one takeaway for you, and Guillaume is going to get into this during his session. But as I mentioned, AI.studio is our DeepMind developer platform. It's essentially a playground where anybody can go and build applications. You get a very generous free tier. You can set up an API key in about 5 minutes, and you can actually go from prompt to production in about 5 minutes as well. So please scan the QR code, send it to your teams back home. I think it's a really great platform, and if you have any feedback, love to hear that as well. But in about 30 minutes, Guillaume will take you through a really amazing session, so get it up on your phones, and you actually can go through that session with him as well. Gen Media. So the next area. So beyond our large language learning models, we're also doing very specific generative media models. And who's seen anything around VO or Nano Banana over the last 6 months? All right, good amount. Hopefully by the end of the session, again, we'll get more folks utilizing these models. But we've been really blown away by the progress. We just launched VO3 and I/O in May, and it's really allowed for a transformative experience in terms of video generation. Nano Banana, so I'm going to come to in a little bit as well, is really changing our image generation. And Lyria, which Guillaume will spend a little bit of time on, is also another really cool model on the music side that we've been working on. But these domain-specific models allow us, again, to utilize the world reasoning of Gemini to actually proliferate brand new experiences. So VO 3.1 actually just launched last Wednesday. So it's brand new in the API. It's actually made significant improvements over the previous VO3 model in terms of character consistency, image quality, aspect ratio. As I mentioned, top of the leaderboards as of yesterday, so super excited to see the progress there. But rather than me talking about it, why don't I showcase a nice video for you folks to sit back and enjoy.
This is VO, the video generation model designed for creativity. New enhanced capabilities give you control like never before. Let's take a look. You can use a reference image, a location, a character, object, or a combination. VO puts them together into a fully formed scene, complete with sound.
Hello, is anybody here?
Great moments don't need to end. You can extend your clips and transform any shot into a full scene. And for ultimate narrative control, define the start and end points of your shot. VO bridges them with epic transitions. You can also reimagine any shot with astonishing detail, real-world physics, and cinematic outputs. Bring it all to life with audio, using sound effects, ambient noise, and dialogue.
Just gotta listen.
Push creativity to new limits with VO. Try it today in the Gemini API.
Also in the Gemini app, but how cool is that? So Nano Banana, who's heard of Nano Banana? All right, more hands, love to see that. So Nano Banana is a funny story behind it. One of our engineers at 3 in the morning came up with this code name, which actually ended up being our name that picked up in the industry. But it's actually Gemini 2.5 Flash Image, but I think Nano Banana has a better ring to it. And it's our latest and most capable image generation model. And we've been totally blown away by the use cases that have been emerging over the past month. Some really amazing innovations that are happening in this space. As you can see here on the right-hand side, I'm just showcasing our 2 of our marketing folks, Liz and Natalie, that put together this very cool demo. You can essentially input one image, and you can go from different angles, different scenarios, and you can, just from one image, you're able to imagine if you were a skateboarder or world-class chess player. But there's so many different use cases for businesses, from generating brand assets to giving you the control to really look across a wide range of applications. And as I mentioned, it builds in Gemini's world understanding, so things like physics, character consistency natively come into the model, and allows for a really amazing use case. So you can try it at ai.studio/banana if you want to build with Nano Banana, or you can actually utilize it in the Gemini app as well. And speaking of the Gemini app, if you haven't downloaded it, please go in the Play Store. You can actually go to gemini.google as well to utilize it on your phone. As I mentioned, the amazing part about bringing DeepMind and all the product teams together over the past couple of years is we're able to go across the entire stack. From the API to the consumer application, we're really able to go from research to reality and get these into as many hands as possible. And the Gemini app has been improving so much this year. One of my favorite features is on the bottom right here is live mode. If you haven't tried it out, please do. It's really a magical experience. And again, that started off as Project Astra 3 years ago, and it's now in our consumer application. So we're really excited about bringing these to more and more folks across the world. To spend a little bit of time on Gemma, if you haven't heard of Gemma, it's our open models. Gemma 3 launched earlier this year in February, and we have a nice arrangement of different sizes and different parameters. Essentially, it allows you to fine-tune the model, and that can be from a very diverse set of applications, from medicine to business. It goes really across the board. Just most recently, actually as of last week, we had a research collaboration with Yale University, and we released a Gemma variant called Cell to Sentence Scale 27B. What you need to know about this is essentially that it's showcasing novel new use cases for cancer screening and prevention. And in fact, the model itself came up with a new novel hypothesis the team was able to test in clinical studies and validate that finding, which is really incredible to see the breakthroughs that we're already making in medicine. And we're really excited to see how this continues to evolve into other domains. And just to double click onto the point around performance with these smaller models, just 1 year ago on the stage, we were showcasing Gemini 1.5 Pro, our frontier model at the time. And 6 months later, we launched Gemma 3N, the 4 billion parameter model. So 4 billion parameters compared to a trillion parameter model. And ELA scores are essentially how we, as an industry, agree upon evaluating performance. And you can see they're right about in line, which is really incredible to see that our open models are just about trending 6 to 8 months behind our proprietary LLMs. So we're excited to see more and more folks build with Gemma. And we actually launched Gemma 3N at Google I/O this year. And this is optimized for on-device performance. So you can run Gemma 3N on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. It's a mobile-first architecture, and it's powering the next generation of Gemini Nano as well. It's private by default, offline ready, and multimodal capable from the ground up. So really excited to see more folks build on-device experiences as well. But to bring it all together, as I mentioned, we spoke about a lot of different models. So go to deepmind.google if you want to have a fun time exploring all the wonderful work going across our teams. It's really amazing. But our mission at the end of the day at Google DeepMind, it's a bold mission. It's to solve intelligence, it's to advance science, and it's to benefit humanity. We believe that AI, when developed responsibly, can unlock solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. It's very unique for a research lab to focus on such a breadth of different areas, but if we feel it's a responsibility to pioneer these remarkable breakthroughs and get these technologies directly to you folks. And speaking of the last demo I want to show to you today, it's called Genie 3. It showcases our foray into world models. You might be asking, what is a world model? It's essentially a simulation of all the inputs that we put into a system and the output to represent the world. And this is an important step in our foray into artificial general intelligence. So I'm going to hand you off to Tom for the next session around game design, but please sit back and enjoy the video on Genie 3, and thank you all for your time.
What you're seeing are not games or videos. They're worlds. Each one of these is an interactive environment generated by Genie 3, a new frontier for world models. With Genie 3, you can use natural language to generate a variety of worlds and explore them interactively, all with a single text prompt. Let's see what it's like to spend some time in a world. Genie 3 has real-time interactivity, meaning that the environment reacts to your movements and actions. You're not walking through a pre-built simulation. Everything you see here is being generated live as you explore it. And Genie 3 has world memory. That's why environments like this one stay consistent. World memory even carries over into your actions. For example, when I'm painting on this wall, my actions persist. I can look away and generate other parts of the world. But when I look back, the actions I took are still there. And Genie 3 enables promptable events, so you can add new events into your world on the fly. Something like another person, or transportation, or even something totally unexpected. You can use Genie to explore real-world physics and movement, and all kinds of unique environments. You can generate worlds with distinct geographies, historical settings, fictional environments, and even other characters. We're excited to see how Genie 3 can be used for next-generation gaming and entertainment. And that's just the beginning. Worlds can help with embodied research, training robotic agents before working in the real world, or simulating dangerous scenarios for disaster preparedness and emergency training. World models can open new pathways for learning, agriculture, manufacturing, and more. We're excited to see how Genie 3's world simulation can benefit research around the world.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Amit. I didn't actually know that Nano Banana was named at 3 a.m. by an engineer, but that's really amazing to know. I'm a developer advocate at Google with a focus on making Google developer products work better together, and my specialty is in video game technologies. Before Google, I was an indie game developer and made some fairly successful games for mobile app stores. I designed and produced, and not always, but sometimes programmed the games as well and handled the business side of the company. And at Google, my work has always revolved around games in some way, whether that was working with Android game developer partners in the Asia-Pacific region, or leading the web gaming efforts for the Chrome developer relations team, or even building the strategy for Google's web gaming portal known as GameSnacks. And during the pandemic, I created a virtual conference technology that was like a web gaming learning platform that we used for events like Google I/O and Indie Games Festival. So my background is sort of a mix of producer and business person, engineer, and game designer. I'm explaining all of this because I want to highlight that to you as a game developer, as a fellow game developer, I really understand the complexities of not just making games, but running a successful games business as well. And I understand it's all really a mix of creative ideas and pushing the envelope of innovation and also balancing that against the costs of building and running a game. And it's challenging to be successful in the games industry today. But my goal in this talk is to convince you that in the future, if you want to be successful, that you should really be embracing AI, not just in the development of your game, but actually inside the gameplay itself. Because game developers are already exploring this new frontier. Here are some examples of games that are exploring AI in their actual game mechanics: Robotopia, 1001 Nights, and Doki Doki AI Interrogation. And in fact, Ichiro Lambe published on his blog, Totally Human, some interesting research that showed that nearly 8,000 games on Steam are already tagged as using AI in some way, either in their production or inside the games themselves. And I'm highlighting this to you because I want you to realize that AI game development has already arrived, but what form it is going to take is perhaps just being determined now. But you might be wondering as well, okay, just because some games are embracing AI, it doesn't tell us why we should be doing the same. It doesn't show us what the best way to use AI in games is, and how to be creative when doing that, or even why this would lead to success. So to convince you why you should be doing this, I think it's important to understand this as an opportunity. And to understand that future opportunity, I think we can look a little bit to the past for some inspiration. What do all of these devices have in common? When these were new technologies and they first appeared, what happened? Well, each of them had new technologies that had risks involved for game developers to embrace them. But the developers who did embrace these new technologies and really harness them to create really innovative new games and experiences and game mechanics were rewarded by consumers for being innovative. And how did they do that with each of these platforms? They created experiences that weren't possible before. Like for the original PlayStation, games were suddenly able to have hundreds of megabytes, not just a few megabytes in their storage. And that meant you could have pre-recorded high-quality audio or pre-recorded videos that allowed for more enhanced storytelling. Or the Nintendo Wii, of course, had motion controllers with accelerometers and infrared sensors that allowed you to have more interactions and more physical games. And the start of the mobile revolution. Here was one of my favorite old Android phones, the Nexus 5. This new technology meant that we had to embrace touch-based gameplay and also think about the way people interacted with these devices that were always with them. And we could use technologies like push notifications to engage with users and have a new rhythm of gameplay. And so I argue that AI as a technology is offering a similar opportunity for the developers who are really willing to explore its capabilities and embrace new gameplay experiences that weren't possible before. And that begs the question, what does innovation of these new AI technologies look like for gaming? With all the new technologies that Amit talked about, what can we do with these new capabilities? Well, there are many ways to sort of segment or separate different AI, ways to use AI in games. And I think a simple fundamental one is whether or not you're going to use it in the production of your game or actually inside the game itself. Using it inside of the game, using it for production of games is probably somewhat straightforward. There's brainstorming that you can do. Your game designers can also vibe code or prototype ideas. The asset production can be streamlined by producing the assets ahead of schedule and ahead of time. You can also use writing assistants for like the narrative of games. And obviously, almost every industry now has coding agents being used in the programming. But is this really the innovation I'm talking about when I say that new gameplay experience is enabled with AI? A funny thing about using AI in just the production of a game, but not in the gameplay itself, is that the usage of the AI might be completely invisible to the player, which actually means that gamers probably can't and won't really appreciate how AI can enhance games by playing those types of games. To enable players to really appreciate AI, we really need to put it into the gameplay itself. In other words, the key to truly unlocking the potential of a new technology is to deliver an experience that simply wasn't possible before that technology existed. Just like those earlier examples I gave of PlayStation, Nintendo Wii, and mobile phones. The developers who embraced those new technologies and harnessed them successfully to create innovative games were rewarded by consumers. And this is much easier said than done, I realize, but I think this is only really achievable with in-game AI use cases. And as I said earlier, games that have AI assist in only the production are not really differentiable to a player from games that weren't built with AI. So what can in-game AI enable as new experiences? Well, these are just a few. The gameplay narrative could change dynamically and be based on player input. Perhaps in an RPG, when you interact with new NPCs or new characters, the dialogue that they speak back to you could be completely AI generated in the game. Or the AI could assist in the user input system itself, such as using my voice to actually talk to the NPCs, not just have to type the messages. And so I could be interacting in audio directly through AI. Or maybe I could actually draw on a map inside the game when I'm talking to an NPC to clarify what I'm talking about. That would be using a multimodal input such as image to text. Or maybe even a puzzle in which instead of playing musical notes on an ocarina to solve an RPG puzzle, instead I can just sing or hum a tune and the AI could analyze the sounds. Or why not have a super powerful enemy AI, maybe just one enemy AI in the entire game that learns your strategies and specifically tries to find you in the game world, learning your players' techniques and habits. Or you could even have more powerful level editors that are assisted by AI for the players, generating new assets for users on the fly. And lastly, emergent gameplay mechanics can be captured or experienced by having AI-assisted scripting that unfolds as the user interacts with the game. Honestly, when you really think about it, out of all the industries that AI can be applied to and can enhance, gaming is really one of the most powerful mediums where AI will create new experiences. And I know you're probably also thinking, that's great, but what about the costs of powering these games? Well, Amit touched on some of the different options we have when we're developing games using AI, and developing with AI in general. And that, of course, the cost efficiency of these models is improving over time. But there are many models that you can pick from that you could optimize with your experience. If your game really needs Gemini 2.5 Pro, you could use that, but there's also Flashlight, which is more cost efficient. And also you could run models on device using technologies like Amit mentioned, like Gemini, Gemini Nano, or Gemma 3N. And you can run servers that have Gemma, the open source model, running. Are offline models less capable than the state-of-the-art cloud models? Yes, of course, but perhaps for the right game design, that's okay. So now I'd like to show you a real example of everything I explained, a demo game some Googlers and I created earlier this year that actually uses AI inside the game itself. And the game is called Living Canvas. So what is it? Well, it's a puzzle-based game at its heart, one that's powered by in-game AI features that enhance the input of the player. But before I show you the actual result, let me explain the process I took to come up with this idea. Firstly, I set myself some goals. I wanted to make sure I did use AI a bit in the pre-production of the assets of the game, likely producing art assets ahead of time. But I did it in an interesting way, which I'll highlight in a minute. And secondly, I knew I wanted in-game AI to be a core part of the gameplay. That could have been a purely text-based experience, of course. After all, LLMs kicked off with text. However, I made an early decision to make sure the experience was multimodal in some way. And so I thought that could be some kind of mix of text to image, or maybe image to text, or even image to image as well. And so I decided that the user input should be something that includes something image-based, perhaps a game in which the user can draw onto the screen. Which ticks off another requirement I set for myself. I really wanted AI to be part of that user's input. And I wanted the gameplay to feel new and fresh, like something that people hadn't really experienced before. And of course, I needed to make sure the game was fun, that it had a challenge and some kind of surprise and delight. So this is the game. This is Living Canvas. There are only 8 puzzles, but it's a demo to inspire game developers like yourself and show the ways that AI can be used creatively in game design. The objective of every puzzle is to just get the key on the left to the lock on the right. And the key and the lock are predefined objects. But you can tap anywhere on the screen, and you can draw whatever you want, and then Gemini analyzes that drawing and tries to bring it to life by attaching attributes to the gameplay object. And there are obstacles in a level, like this ice block preventing the key from reaching the lock at the moment, and some pitfalls as well. And you can see that I drew a small fire, which then Gemini understood, well, when I see fire, I know that fire should burn, so I'll attach a burning attribute to that object. And that meant it was able to melt the ice. And then afterwards, I've drawn a cloud, which then Gemini knows, well, a cloud can drip water, and if it can drip water, it gets the dripping behavior, and then that means that it can put out the fire that I created before. Ultimately, the list of predefined properties are fixed. There's only about 8 in the game. And those are programmed directly into the physics of the gameplay as well. But what exactly the player draws is really limitless. When testing the game, for example, I always used a campfire to create a fire object for melting the ice. But very quickly I found in playtesting that some people would draw an image of the sun instead. And of course, the sun does burn, it does produce heat, and Gemini understood that and recognized it, so it automatically attached the burning behavior. And also, I usually would draw the rain cloud to produce water, but some players would draw a faucet. And well, Gemini understood a faucet produces water most of the time, and so it also attached the dripping behavior. And even more surprising to me was when I demoed the game in China earlier this year, some players would try and write Chinese characters for fire, water, and wind onto the canvas. And actually, Gemini just accepted those too. I didn't tell it ahead of time to do that. But I did alter the prompt afterwards to improve its handling of text support. And you may have also noticed there's a looping video in this case. You can see that actually I used VO as one of the image generation backends. So when the user draws initially, they can draw whatever they want, but I send that to Imagen to perform an image-to-image multimodal request and upgrade the image using Imagen. And then I also experiment with VO as another generation backend. So what I would do is I would send the Imagen image that was generated and send that to VO to turn it into a video and extract the video frames. I also tested this with Gemini's Nano Banana model that Amit talked about, and that was even better at handling the consistency and keeping the consistency of the user's drawing when it generated the Gemini Nano Banana version. But what about those pre-generated art assets I talked about? Well, for every puzzle, I actually let players choose what background and design they wanted. They could choose from realistic to cartoon to pixelated. And to generate those backgrounds, I actually just sent this visual mask, this black and white visual mask, to Gemini and asked Gemini to use that mask to generate a cliffscape level in those different visual styles. And it was actually remarkably accurate. If you look at the edges of the original visual mask, you can see it really transferred that over to the graphics very precisely. And I also want to highlight that when I did this initial generation, this was before Nano Banana was available, which already highlights how impressive Gemini's consistency capabilities were even before Nano Banana. And you could imagine as well that this could be turned into a level editing feature for your players as well, one which anyone could operate and just draw in black and white on a level, and then Gemini could actually turn that into the graphics of the level that's created. So in review, I want to just go through some of those goals. Did I tick all those boxes? Well, yes, I did use AI in the production of the game with the art assets ahead of time for the levels. I also made sure that it was really inside the gameplay itself through the image analysis of the user's drawing. It was something new. I mean, some games have been made that allow you to draw on the screen and create objects before. But I think the clever trick of having a fixed list of attributes and then letting Gemini analyze and decide exactly which attributes should be used meant that the possibilities of what you can draw are really limitless. And I wanted something that was multimodal. Like I said, I wanted it to have that image drawing capability and for that to be part of the user's input. And I kind of thought afterwards, when building this game, I realized that I started to think of the multimodal nature of these models as having almost a sort of additional output that you should really be thinking about. What can the output of the multimodal experience be at a sort of gameplay level? And to achieve that, that's really connecting back to the fact that what you type or what you draw, the AI model has an understanding of how that should function inside the game. So it's not just about generating text as a result, but then mapping that into some sort of gameplay attributes or properties. So that was Living Canvas, a demo game that's fully open source, which you and your developers can explore, and I hope it'll inspire you as well to make your own AI-powered games if you follow those principles that I laid out. Here's a QR code and a link you can share with your teams after the event. And now I'd like to hand it over to Guillaume from the DeepMind DevRel team.
So hello, everybody. So as Tom said, I'm Guillaume. I'm from the DeepMind team. I'm a DevRel, which means that my job is to make sure that the developers are taken into account when we are developing our stuff, and I'm your voice with the production team of the models. So bringing back all of the like how things are actually being used in the real world. And like Tom, I come from a video game background. I used to be an associate producer on Assassin's Creed. And in that role, I learned that the time between when you have an idea and when you can actually see it in the game, like it can be weeks or even months. And you need to convince a ton of people to actually make it happen. And I think that's what is going to change with AI. Because what I'm going to show you is that you can actually prototype things in minutes instead of weeks. And that concept is what we called vibe coding. It's basically creating things and code, especially, by explaining the vibe or what you want to achieve to the AI and let the AI do it for you. But it's not just limited to creating code. It's also, you can, with the newest model, you can also create images, create videos, create audio, music, and so on. That's why, for me, it's not so much about vibe coding, but it's vibe creating. It's a new way of working your vision, and where the technical skills are not needed to build something. So this vibe coding, where do you do it? Google AI Studio. I think Amit introduced it earlier, and it's proving to be such a game changer for creators that Business Insider published an article recently calling it Google best kept secret. And well, today, the secret is out. So I'm going to show you how to use it and to prototype things with Google AI Studio. So this is AI Studio, and I think Amit told you we're shipping at a relentless pace. We actually changed the UI yesterday evening, so a bit of it is also new to me. But you can basically do two main things in AI Studio. The first part is this part, chat with the models in Playground. That's where you can use all of the models, tinker with it, and do things with them. And there's the building part where you can vibe code things with AI, and I'll come to that afterwards. So let's say I had an idea yesterday in the train coming here that I would build an app that is about a space cowboy doing things in space. So let's say I want to create a voiceover for a video I'm going to do about it. So I say, generate the transcript of the discussion between Luke, a space cowboy, who is going to fight the space goblins, and he's very excited about it, and Leia, his wife, really worried about him. So we can just create a text like that. Well, it's a bit long. We are just going to take the beginning of it. Otherwise, it's going to be too long. And I can just go into here. I have the list of all of my models. So I was using Flash letters because it's the fastest to generate text. I could have used Flashlight as well to be even faster. And in this case, I want to create a node, like a discussion between the two characters. So I'm going to use a TTS model. And the TTS model is basically what is being used in Notebook LM or Gemini, and the Gemini apps to create audio overview and the podcast that everybody loves. So I can just pass the text that was created. I need to tell it that the first character is Luke. And Luke has a lower pitch voice. OK, this one. And the second one is Leia. And QWERTY keyboard. And Leia has higher pitch. And I can tell exactly how it needs to be set. So generate this discussion between Luke, a space cowboy. So that way we'll talk like a cowboy with the accent and all, and his worried wife, Leia. And I just had to click run, and it will take about the same time as it takes to play it, to run it, but it will create the discussion between the two characters with the different voices and the different tone for each character. And one thing that I tried recently is that they can even talk into different languages. The one can be speaking French while the other is speaking English. That won't be a problem for the model because the model is outputting audio directly. And you could see that I never said that the text was in English, actually. And which is kind of a big difference between the usual text-to-speech model that we are using. And it should take a few seconds. So as I said, like it should be like minute discussion, so it takes about a minute to generate. The reason for that is that we can if we want real sounding voices, it has to take the same time as for playing it. Okay, it's taking a bit too long. I pre-ran it earlier, so we can see the one that I pre-ran earlier.
Well, darling, looks like the whole posse's been rounded up. Just got the final coordinates. The little green varmints are holed up in sector Gamma 7, right on that asteroid belt near the Whiskey Nebula. Place looks like a proper showdown spot.
A proper showdown spot, Luke? It's an unstable rock cluster riddled with gravity anomalies and known for their ambush tactics. And they aren't varmints, they're space goblins. They're heavily armed and notoriously vicious.
So you get the hang of it. Like we all had the problem of needing voiceover or to make our NPCs speak at some point. So this is a really fast way to actually make that possible. Now let's say we want to create an image for the game. And for that, we're going to use Nano Banana that I think Amit introduced earlier. So this is our latest image generation model. And so we can say create an image of a space cowboy wearing a spacesuit and riding a spaceship that looks like a horse. So the model is quite good at generating images, but it's also really good at editing the images. So here I have my image, and I say, let's say, oh, I want the horse to be golden. And that's really what the model is shining for, because it's really good at updating just a part of the image you gave it. We can see it better that way. So it was metallic horse, and we are just changing it to be a golden horse. And just the horse was changed, nothing else. The characters stay the same, the background stays the same, and so on. So it's basically vibe photoshopping. So you don't even, if you want to change an image, you don't need to learn how to use Photoshop. You can just upload the image and ask the model to do it for you. And you can even create things that are going to be outside of the image. So let's say make it a landscape image, add space goblins, goblins attacking the cowboy, and it will add that. It should take 20 seconds. Here we go. So we have all space cowboy and the space goblin attacking it. Pretty cool, no? But the thing I wanted to show you more is this part, the build part. So let me show you where you go there. When you are in AI Studio, just go to Vibe Codes, and that's the part where you go. And that's where you can take an ID and make it into an app in seconds. So I said I had an idea to make a game yesterday. So I called that game the Recall Ranger, and it's basically, the idea was, let's do a vampire hunter type of game, but in space. So you can't move by yourself. You have to use the recall from your blaster to move around and to avoid enemies and so on. So I build it, and you can see that the prompt is kind of a long one, but I actually cheated there. I had my 1 or 2-liner idea of what I wanted to build, and I gave that to Gemini, and Gemini came up with the full description of what I wanted to, what the game should look like. So it should take about between 2 and 5 minutes to generate. It's doing a first phase of thinking and analyzing what the request is and how it's going to build it, and then it's going to build it. So in the meantime, let me show you this other model that is not really well known. That's our music generation model. It's called Lyria. And compared to what you are used to, it's not like you're sending a prompt and it's giving you like a minute or 2 of music. It's actually streaming music all the time. So I can start it, and all of those things are different prompts that are being sent to the model. And it creates music, and I can just change the prompt in real time, and the music is going to change. It should take. We can add drum and bass as well. It should be more visible. Yeah. So it's really a simple way and a cool way to play with music and create background music. And as I said, like all of these are prompts, but you can actually write your own. So we want some things that happen in space music. I want up, and I want space cowboy. I don't know what it's going to do. And let's add those two to the prompt and remove the other ones. And see how it goes. And I want the music to be epic. See, it gives a I forgot the name of the game that was the guys lost in space for the whole movie. Yeah, that gives this kind of vibe. And let's go back to our app, and here it is. So it took actually less than 2 minutes. So we can see how it goes. It's going to be very likely extremely hard to play with up. Why do I start in the corner? And see, in 2 minutes, I was able to transform an idea of a game into a working prototypes. And I can just then update it with new prompts. And what I just clicked by mistake was actually the model proposing me improvement for the game. But I can say, I want to start in the center of the map, and I should shoot automatically. And since it's just an update on the app, it should be way faster. And can continue to play while it's updating the game. I haven't lost yet, except that you can see it's a prototype. It's the UX is still not there. But the whole point of that is really this idea that if you want, and especially for people who are not, we don't have technical background, you can build things and transform your ideas. Like the same way that when you used to have an idea and you wanted to convince other people, you were going to the whiteboard and trying to draw what you were thinking of. This is the AI version of drawing things on the whiteboard. You create things, and then you can come to your team and say, this is what I did. Like, I want to try to add this concept into our game. And it's still running, but I can show you a version that I did this morning, actually. Just in case I prepared another version of the game. And yeah, that's a more advanced version of the game where it shoots automatically. I need to get up. And I'm using Lyria to create music for the game. And if I'm good enough, I should be able to show you that there are some power-ups. And I can create a yeah, here, I have power-ups. The good thing with AI is that you can build whatever you want, but the other bad thing is that it sometimes does not what you want. So I actually asked this one there should have been short links to the game so that you could try it, and I guess at some points in the updates, it removed it, so I won't be able to share it. But if you check me on LinkedIn, I will post a link to it over the weekend. We can stop here. Leave. And here the other updated version. Let me finish with something else. So you even though I think it's fairly simple, and we didn't see any line of code there, and so which means everybody can build things. It might still be frightening for some people. So I wanted to highlight this new project that was released by our colleagues 2 weeks ago, I think, and it's called Opal. And it's basically how to build AI agents in a very simple way. Once again, no line of code, it's just boxes. So this is an example of an agent that creates blog posts, and you just have one box that is get the topic from the users, and another box that is do research, so search on the internet, gather as many data as you can on that topic, and then another box that is use a text generation model to generate the text of the blog post, another one to create the banner, and finally you put all of that together and you create a blog post. And that's very simple. Everybody can do it because it's just like moving boxes and connecting boxes. But even more, this can be vibe coded. So this was actually created from a prompt that is create an app where I can enter a topic, and it creates a blog post for me. So you can vibe code a no-code version of AI, basically.